Good evening and welcome to the Smart Investing Show with your host, Alton Brooks. Tonight we have with us Roger Dundas. He's the co founder and also the publisher of Buy Blacks. We're going to be talking about why it's important to support and find where they're located, black businesses across Canada. So let's go.
Hey,
And thank you for joining us tonight on the GBKM Network. Your host, Alton Brooks. It's the Smart Investing Show. We're talking with our guest this evening. His name is Roger Dundas. He's one of the kings in our community when it comes to our community finding each other on a business level and working together. So we're going to pick his brain tonight. We're going to find out what's going on in our business world and how we can make that better. Good evening and welcome, Roger.
thank you, Alton. Thank you for having me on the show.
You're most certainly welcome. And again, he is the co-founder of buyblacks.com, along with his lovely wife, Camille, who's also partner in that business, correct?
That is correct.
All right, fabulous. Well, let's just jump right into it. We're trying to find out why is it important to find and support our black businesses. So I'm going to first take us back to last year. I think it was around July 7th, 2020. There was the blackout. Everybody was to stop buying where they normally buy things from. They were supposed to support black businesses on that day, but then we never really heard anything since then. So my question to you is, do you think that was a wake-up call for our success, or do you think that pulled us back to sleep? What is your thoughts on that particular blackout day and up to now? Because things are still happening where you still see people innocently killed, you're still seeing the anti-black racism, but we're not hearing that chorus of supporting our businesses. So tell us, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, there are a couple different questions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that the July was a catalyst for the reckoning that happened. I think it started from May when George Floyd was murdered.
That is correct.
Innocently.
And then a
So,
bunch of other murders after that,
yeah,
culminating
I
in
think,
that blackout day. But
yeah,
do you think the blackout day worked, and do you think there's still motivation to continue that?
I'm not sure that it worked. I'm not sure that it worked.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking from my business, we didn't see a significant uptick in business on during that time.
Right.
And uh, I think generally speaking, summer would have been a slow time for business anyway,
Mm-hmm.
aside from the event producers. So we would typically have a slew of events happening, and that would generate a lot of business for any media hosts because people are looking to
Right.
get their events promoted. So I'm not sure these buy black on Friday, support a black owned restaurant on a Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think those are the things. They help. They certainly help. But I think it what we really need is a universal shift in thought process
Explain.
on why it is that we need to support our own black brothers and sisters. So there's still a lot of people who they will buy indiscriminately from other races,
Mm-hmm.
products that are sold within the black community, within black stores, within from black service providers, etc. So we need to change the way we look about this and and seek out people, do it a little bit more intentionally
Mm-hmm.
to support black owned business. So the purpose has to be cemented into everybody universally, not just one day, one off day. It has to be a conscious event happening universally,
Ongoing.
ongoing. Yeah.
I got you.
So the funny thing is, you know, I said we run by blacks. We've been telling by black stories. We've been supporting black business. We only hire predominantly. Well, I said well, predominantly we hire black writers
Hmm.
because black writers. That's the whole concept of by blacks, right? Black writers telling black stories in an authentic way. So we were already immersed in a system of black support.
Right.
So that's just our DNA. If you look behind me, that's a picture from
Hmm.
Benny Bing, sorry.
Okay.
There's probably a Benny Boo dress inside the closet. So, you have to become intentional about these things.
Why did you choose this avenue to be your vehicle, your platform, the buyblacks.com? Why was that the platform chosen?
So we started off in 2010 running a PR firm called 44 Media Group, my wife and I.
Hmm.
And my wife is a journalist, so she's mainstream. Back then, she was working at CP24, I believe.
Hmm.
And we brought on these clients, and we had a mix of clients. Some were from the community, some were not. And we just noticed that even just generally speaking, when you look on Canadian media back then,
Right.
quote unquote mainstream media, or let's just call it white media, the people that were being interviewed on a regular basis were not black.
Hmm.
Let's just say. I can say that for certain that has changed significantly since 11 years ago. Significantly. It's not the same today. As a matter of fact, I would say it's even gone way over in other direction. So when we just started out, we weren't finding the same level of success with our black clients.
Right.
And when we were looking around, there were not a lot of media houses that just focused on the black Canadian experience. There were a lot of media houses that focused on Caribbean, as you know, newspapers,
Right.
African, and they just had a more of a geographic focus outside of Canada than Canadians themselves. So we felt as if there were stories that were not being told. We like to talk about us everyday people, everyday successful black people.
Right.
There's so many of us here, right?
Well, that's terrific
And
that you bring the good news.
yeah, and those stories weren't being told. So I think we saw this opportunity and we started researching it. So that was the first thing. We were researching it from 2012, from the beginning of 2012.
Hmm.
And then something happened. There was this trigger event. I don't know
Okay.
if you remember Sway magazine,
I don't recall correctly right now.
but Toronto Star had a black magazine called Sway,
Hmm.
and they decided to shut it down in August 2012.
Okay.
And we were still, as I said, we were still in the ideation stage of Buy Blacks, of what it should look like, what it should have, blah, blah, blah,
Hmm.
blah. And we fast tracked it after Sway. And we basically, I could say we kind of took their playbook in terms of how, the writing style and the type of things that they would cover, because they would just focus on Black Canadians as well.
Right.
And we started Buy Blacks February 2013, right, in Black History Month. So initially, to be honest with you, the first iteration of Buy Blacks was a directory site. But then some of my advisors at the time, they said, you need to have content that's constantly changing. And the only way to do that is to have a magazine where there's different features,
Right.
reviews, etc. And that's what you see today. We've added on a lot of different things since then.
But tell us
Yeah,
about the directory a little bit, and what's in it for businesses who become a part of it, or what's the
absolutely.
benefit of
So,
joining up with Black Blacks?
so unlike a lot of the other directory sites out there, ours is completely free
Okay.
to have your business listed on Buy Black. So there's no charge to have it listed, and
Nice.
that's the one thing I can say I've continued to just do as a community service.
Hmm.
If
Excellent.
you want to feature you're listed in a specific category, then you can pay to do that, which means you get that top of the page.
Right.
And so if somebody lands on, let's say, realtor,
Mm-hmm.
and you are a featured realtor, then you'd be at the top of the page, even if your name started with W, because it's alphabetical,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So I am happy to say that other people say that they have the largest listing of black-owned businesses in Canada. That is not true. By blacks, we
Mm-hmm.
have over 4,000
Okay.
black-owned businesses. So it's a mix of businesses, artists, books written by black Canadian authors, and films made by black Canadian filmmakers and the politicians as well. So we also try to capture the different things.
Now, normally culture plays a big part, a big role in who we buy from, whether you're Chinese or French or Greek,
Mhm.
Italian. So when someone sees an advertisement and they may, you know, call up one of these businesses, why are we so quick to just jump to price and or just come up with reasons not to do business with our own kind when other cultures look for reasons to do business, even if they don't agree, they will work it out. Why are we so quick to dismiss our businesses and go elsewhere?
I I
What's your
don't think
take on that?
that's I don't think that's 100% true.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do believe that there's a large segment of the population that supports black-owned businesses constantly.
Mm-hmm.
I will agree that it's not at the same level, and it's just to understand the economics of it. Like for example, um, there are no black-owned gas stations that I know of.
There's one. I believe there's one,
Okay,
but
well,
I'm
let
not
me
sure if it's still
know.
around. But I think there's one.
Let me know. I don't know of it, and I trust me.
Yeah.
We try our best to find out these things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we know of the black-owned grocery store. It's not
Yes.
close to where I live, but if it was, I would shop there, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, we know of the black-owned winery. There is a office building in Montreal owned by a black couple, liqueurs, etc. There's so many
Mm-hmm.
different businesses that are not the typical as restaurant, beauty salon, blah blah blah. There's so
Yeah.
many other businesses, right?
But a lot of those
Coffee
other
happen.
businesses do take up a lot of our disposable income on a weekly basis, whether it's, you get paid Friday, we're in stores shopping for the week, and a lot of times we're not in our stores. We're in other stores with, somewhat, suspect customer service or
Yeah.
ability to service well, but we still will go there because they're a few cents less. How can we make that lesser of a situation and look at it as, let me go support my brother, my sister's business, even though they're a few cents more, but that cultural aspect, that's my brother, that's my sister, let me support them.
It's an interesting question because there are a lot of people, as I said, I think there are a lot of people who do support black-owned businesses on a consistent basis. But Alton, we can't forget about the economic situation as well. Because of systemic anti-black racism and systemic discrimination, um, the majority of black Canadians are not wealthy. So
But
if somebody is working on a shoestring budget, is it fair to say to them, hey, pay a few cents more for the same product just to support your black owned
well,
brand? They have to think about themselves. But what I do believe though is that the
hmm
people with means
yeah.
who don't do it, then that's where I think we would have more of an issue, because ultimately you and I know, and this is a fact, if I'm black and I support more black businesses, then more black businesses support me, and I can
That's
tell you
right.
that that's my lived experience.
And you'll also have more black employees with money to spend in black establishments. So it's
That's
one of those
correct.
circles that will
And if
continue going around.
if a black person is hiring them, and we are talking about solidarity and supporting our own business owners, then there's a trickle down effect on even just the example that they're seeing, right?
For sure.
So but as I said, it's difficult because I look for black owned businesses. right? I'm a great, like if I'm taking a trip to Orangeville,
Yeah.
I will check before to find out what is the black-owned restaurant that is there, so I can go there and support,
Excellent.
right?
Excellent. Well, that's a
But
great
not
thing to do.
everybody. Yeah,
That is a great thing to do. But let's just take a quick break.
yeah,
We're here tonight with Roger Dundas. He's from buyblacks.com, one of
yes,
our
sir.
kings of our communities, and he's here telling us his thoughts on black businesses. So we'll be right back after this message.
Extra income with flexible schedule? Welcome to Keenan Courier. Keenan Courier works as a marketplace platform connecting customers who need something delivered with drivers that are willing to serve them. Courier with any vehicle, better trip allocation, and cash out your earnings whenever you want. Download our driver apps today to sign up.
GBKM TV, the station with a vision. GBKM TV, the station with a difference now. Slim Flex said so. Big up Ghana.
Welcome back to the Smart Investing Show with your host, Alton Brooks. We are here tonight on the GBKM network. You can find us at www.gbkm.tv or .fm for those on the radio, or the app, the GBKM app on iOS or Android. This evening, we've got Roger Dundas, a co-founder of buyblacks.com, sharing some of his wisdom with us this evening. Welcome
Yes,
back,
sir.
Roger. You still doing okay?
I know to say the wisdom. Is it the gray hairs that you're referring to?
Well, that is actually even more wisdom. I didn't even notice them until you mentioned them. Now, you mentioned earlier before we went to break about systematic racism playing a role. Tell us more about that, and do you think that that can be overcome? And is it one of the main reasons we are where we are? Tell us your full thought on that.
Yeah, I think systemic racism is something that you don't even realize the effects until the head is out of it, right? If you get a job, you are just as qualified as somebody from a different race, and you go into a company, and just because you're black, that other person gets opportunities to advance and earn more money, then obviously that's going to impact you, your family, and everything else beyond that. So I think that that's been a very, very key factor in keeping black people down. Of course, still, even with that, we still managed to rise above that.
Yeah.
And excel in every field. So that's the thing I was talking about earlier. I mean, I'm from Jamaica originally. I'm used to seeing black people be the top of everything, run every company, every type of company.
For sure.
I didn't really have
cream
that.
always rises, right?
Pardon?
The cream always rises to the top.
I don't know if it's a cream, but I know the analogy. Right? But what the thing is that it has had an impact, not just financially, but mentally, when people are being told that they are nothing.
Right.
So that plays into in the buying decisions, because they feel like, if I don't buy Versace or Louis Vuitton or some other brand, then I have no self-worth. If I don't drive a BMW, I don't drive an expensive car, which is not African made or black made, right? Then they don't feel important, right? So it plays a lot into this decision. When you talk about people making decisions, there's a whole mind psychological game that has been played on us for centuries, and to unlearn those things, it just doesn't happen overnight. Right?
Do you think we have it within the community to get it done, though? I mean, obviously,
Absolutely.
the answer has to be yes.
What's interesting is that the younger folks, like I interact with the intersection of people,
right?
Both very young and very old and in between. And I find the younger people are more steadfast in their support for black-owned businesses. Like, they are aggressive with it now. They're like, hey, look, I'm not buying no more of this from nobody. It's not happening. Whereas I would say some of the older folks, they still, still going to the same old store and
Right.
the blue sky and all of that, and still supporting. As you said, you go into these stores, you get bad service, but you keep going back. It's like a lot of, and I hate to call them out, but a lot of Chinese restaurants, their service is atrocious. Food tastes good, service is atrocious, but people go there. But if they went to any Caribbean restaurant, any black restaurant, and they got bad service, they would start complaining,
Right.
even though the food also tastes good. And they'll be quicker to say, "Oh, I'm not going back to that black restaurant," but they'll keep on going to the bad service with the Chinese restaurant. So a phenomena that I don't really understand, because
Right.
if anybody gives me bad service anywhere, I'm not going back.
I
Full stop.
totally.
I would quicker give the black man a chance than anybody else.
We have to have a sense of forgiveness, and that's
Exactly.
how brothers interact, right? You may not like the price you haggle it a little bit, maybe you come down a little bit. You're not
Yeah.
happy with something, complain about it, and maybe they can rectify it, giving you something else the next time. So yeah.
And I can tell you this, I'm speaking from the perspective of a man who, the only service provider for me that's not black is my doctor. And I started seeing him when I came here 21 years ago. And I mean, it's just consistency. I really don't know if
For
I
sure,
should
for sure.
leave him,
But
right? And then I have an electrician who is not from the black, but everybody else. Think about that for a second. Massage, dentist, chiropractor, nutritionist, construction, etc., etc. I could go down the line of people, accountants, lawyers, every
So
person, mortgage broker, realtor,
Excellent.
all black. And I make
so
no
that
apologies.
leads me into my next question. 100 years ago, unfortunately on the U.S. side, they had the Tulsa massacre. 100 years ago, just a couple of weeks back, where they had all of that. They had all those stores. They had all of that in one spot. And unfortunately, they were bombed, et cetera. We all know what happened there. But do you think and do you see that happen again even here? You're talking about all of those different things. Can you see that in all one mall here one day, or
It's
in one
happening.
spot?
So already there's a movement afoot to acquire a number of different strip malls around the GTA mostly. I'm seeing it. I don't know if I've seen it anywhere outside. I'm going to visit Calgary soon, so I'll have an opportunity to go there. So that's an interesting point, because I don't know if you know about Maggie Anderson.
No.
She's an American woman who she went for a year only purchasing everything from black-owned businesses.
Okay.
And she lived in the city. So, like grocery items, it was tough because she was going to the convenience store. And she'd buy, even her mortgage, I think, came up for a renewal, and, she had to get it from a bank that was black-owned.
Right.
I mean, we don't have those things yet. In Canada.
I'm sure it's coming, though. It's coming.
So here's a point, because she did a lot of research into this whole issue of the black economy, and she said, she made a fact that said that prior to Martin Luther King getting assassinated, the black economy in the States was extremely strong. Reason being, because of racism and segregation, we developed our own stuff. So we had more, because we couldn't even go into a grocery store. Think about this. You couldn't even go into a grocery store
Right.
that was white owned. So we had more black owned grocery stores prior to MLK's death than after. Because of this integration. When it integrated, they started to break down all these businesses, this structure. We had a distribution network down there. We had the grocery, construction. We had everything because we had no choice, right? So in a way, integration has been somewhat, and I'm not saying that we're going to go to segregation again. That's not the point.
It's too late.
But a lot of people, they got hoodwinked.
Yeah.
They got hoodwinked. So can I see this come back? It is coming back 100 years later. It actually, there's more serious talk and action about this than ever before, than any time. It's unprecedented, the level of support for black-owned businesses right now. I mean, there's so many different platforms. I mean, black-owned TO, Black in Canada, Black Canada. There's so many black-focused.
And the thing is to keep the commerce consistent, not just talk about it, but as they say, be about it. put your
But
money where your mouth is.
here's the thing though. We still need to. There's certain things I feel like we still need to offer.
Hmm.
So and I think about the most commoditized things, things that you use every day.
Hmm.
So there's still not enough grocery stores because for the few Black and African owned grocery stores that could not supply all the food that Black Canadians eat.
Right.
Because even if we were to buy them out every time, it still wouldn't. There still wouldn't be enough.
So
So we'd
there's
still
an
need to go to
opportunity there to scale that. But let's talk about scaling. And across Canada, we probably have maybe a couple thousand large organizations that may be owned by Black individuals. We're
yeah.
3.5% of the population, but a very small part of the business area. For those that
Yeah.
are running businesses right now, what are some of the things that they can do to help scale some of what they're trying to grow instead of being just a 1 or 2 person operation? How can they become 5 to 10? I understand that marketing is one of the biggest challenges of business, networking as well. So tell us
Yeah.
some of the tricks of the trade, being the marketing guru, that they can put into place to become bigger so that they can be noticed on the map.
So there's a couple of things. First of all, you have to make it a priority.
Mm-hmm.
You don't make it a priority, then it's never going to get done. So you're always going to find something else that you're doing. And you're going to say, oh, I'd have a time for that, I'd have a
Right.
time for this. So you have to make your growth a priority. And then you have to write that plan down. You need to set a plan to grow.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just going to happen by magic. You actually have to sit down and evaluate what you're doing. Get outside advice if you need be, right?
One of
The
the
next-
areas that go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, sorry. So the focus, the plan,
Mm-hmm.
and then the execution. So too often, people they say they don't have enough time,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I swear to you, I'll watch. So you don't know this. So I'm going to tell you now. I'm not on Facebook personally,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not on Twitter or Instagram.
Right.
I am on LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
right? That was deliberate. With the time that I got back from not being on the social media platforms,
Right.
or revenue for that period, so I came off September 2019. So the real numbers I'm giving you now. Our revenue went up approximately 65%, just from the September to the March.
Just from your productivity of not being on social.
That is correct. So social media, don't get me wrong, our companies are on social media. Buy Blacks, Convo Media, we're both on social media. It's not my job to manage that. So I don't. I focus on the area of the business that's going to generate more revenue. So strategic partnerships and of course business development. So when I say focus, you have to focus on the thing that you do to make money and not get caught up in the administrative trying to save a dollar here and there, but actually hiring the best person for that particular job, right? And getting them to do that so you can earn more money.
Now, a lot of people will say, I'm intimidated by technology. Everything is going computers and this and that. How do you calm their fears and, encourage them to take advantage of some of those tools that are available via technology right now?
With every fear, it's always the same advice. You have to face it, right? So this is the thing. I mean, a lot of people, they fear things and they just avoid it.
Yeah.
And they feel that avoiding it is going to be the solution. But the solution is actually to face your fears. And you have to do that consistently. So coming back to when you said to make money and change, you have to make small changes and do those small changes every day. It's like saving, right? You don't just save $1 million. You save 100, 200, you make 1,000 a year or whatever. And it comes on and incrementally, it gets up to that level.
Right.
So that's the same thing with business. You have to make those changes incrementally. The number one problem I've seen, especially, we just did Buy Blacks Restaurant Week. And the number one issue with the restaurants was that they were undermarketing themselves. Okay. When you look at restaurants like the big chains, like the Kentucky and Popeyes and everything, if you think about it, they are advertising every day. They have a special every day, right? And the thing is, small businesses, because of what you just spoke about earlier, technology, they can also do it every day at a fraction of the cost, right? So you can advertise on Facebook, Google, Instagram, LinkedIn. You don't have to pay to advertise. You can post stuff. But even that, and I'm speaking from, we've represented 3 restaurants in the past, and I'm currently mentoring a new restaurant that just opened in January. I'm mentoring the owner.
Okay.
And when I said to her, I said, you have to find that time, carve out that 15 minutes every day, just 15 minutes, and do a social media post every day. And then take that time off and make a plan for the week of what the specials are that you're going to be offering, and then stick with it. If that don't work, then you change it. You change the menu. If the menu don't work, you keep changing it, because marketing is a science. It's an experiment.
Correct.
It's never going to just be the same, right?
It's terrific that you're taking your time to mentor people in the community. Just before we finish up, tell me, you and Camille, what has been the most rewarding thing about the business that you have run by Blacks.com? Between both of you, what do you think has been your most rewarding aspect of running your business?
Wow, that's there's so many different things. I think economic freedom is one, for sure, and the ability to hire people from the community and pay them. Like, there's so many people that work for us. A lot of people don't. When I tell them that approximately 30 people work for us, it's hard for them to fathom. They're like, 30? What? Yeah. So it's a lot of people to make that website stay on, and in the way that it is done, in terms of writers and content creators and salespeople and accountants and design, graphic artists and tech people. I mean, it's a mammoth task. So economic freedom, being able to do that, and being able to continue to tell our stories authentically. I think that's the key thing. We have never ever been interested in doing gossip or anything like that, or denigrating people within the Black community. That's just not our thing. There are other outlets for that, things like Gossip, World Star, Hip Hop.
For sure, you've got your niche and you stick to that. And I'd like to personally thank you tonight, Roger, for joining us. I'm sure you've educated our audience. You've encouraged them to buy Black. If they know a business that they can support, feel free to always do that.
Check this out.
So I'd like to. Yes, for sure. I like the T-shirt.
There's a black-owned business.
For sure, for sure. So this is our show for tonight. Again, we'd like to thank Roger for dropping in to share some of his wisdom with us and his knowledge and understanding. He may be quite humble, but he's a well-versed man in this area, and we appreciate his time. So have yourself a great week, and we'll see you next Monday.
Do you want to be your own boss and make income or extra income with flexible schedule? Welcome to Keenan Courier. Keenan Courier works as a marketplace platform connecting customers who need something delivered with drivers that are willing to serve them. Courier with any vehicle, better trip allocation, and cash out your earnings whenever you want. Download our driver app